Our next speaker is JD Seraphine, founder at Vision Tree Coin. JD is a producer and entrepreneur whose projects include the upcoming Atari movie, The Western Hickok, and the Tony-nominated Broadway play, Rock of Ages. So let's all welcome JD.
Thank you. Thank you. Just grateful to be in this room. So many smart minds that I've heard speak today, and hope I can live up to that same bar here. Actually, really grateful just to be a human being alive at this moment in human history. We all have a unique opportunity right now, and I know that there's many distractions to distract us, but if we can all be present with that fact in this moment, that we all have the potential to make a huge difference in the world, and that's what excites me so much about being here with you guys today. So to start on my journey and how I got here, I have to go back to the beginning, which was to one of my first mentors, which was my father, who's Danny Seraphine, was the drummer and original founding member for the band Chicago. He really pushed me hard not to get into the entertainment business because he knew it was notoriously shady and not transparent. And I wanted to make a difference in the world, so I set out to be a movie producer, thinking I could help shift the way that people see the world and themselves through films and through telling stories. So unfortunately for him, I didn't pick the music business, but I picked the only industry that was potentially more shady than the music business. So I got into producing and started raising financing for a number of projects, helped to finance a Broadway play called Rock of Ages, and another slate of projects, and an independent movie called Growing Up Smith. And some projects were a success, some were a failure, but what I realized was that the industry as a whole was lacking what certain industries had in terms of standards about transparency and accountability. And as a producer, I realized that I wanted to focus my energy towards actually really controlling projects so that I could make sure that the governance and the way that the way the projects were being managed from start to finish when it came to finances, return of money to investors, et cetera, was being handled properly, because we had a few projects where that didn't happen like it was supposed to. So we set out, we talked to studios, we looked at what their models were, we realized that they didn't really have a model for financing the kind of projects that we wanted to do, the kind of projects that would help make a difference in the world and help shift humanity forward. So my group set out to crowdfund a documentary about 6 years ago and test that model out and see how it would work. So we launched a crowdfund of a documentary called Serious. We raised over $500,000 from the crowd, which at that time was the most in history for a feature documentary. Then that wasn't the most exciting part. The money raised was actually, the less exciting part. The more exciting part was we finished the project in 11 months, released its subtitle in 17 languages, and we did over $1 million in direct sales to consumers in 2 weeks. Well, the way that we did that was by harnessing the power of the crowd. So what I learned in that experience was when you can get a community that's actually invested in a project, that's participating, that owns a piece of it, it changes the whole dynamics of how the project unfolds. And so we looked at how can we take that model that we learned with Serious and scale it up into a bigger project. And also, there was a small team of us that undertook that process, and it nearly killed us. So we tried to figure out, is there technology that's available that could help us automate and scale a lot of the processes that we needed to use to basically take it up to the next level. So it took me a number of years to first identify another project that had that same core DNA, which was essentially a community that was ready to drive the project and help drive the marketing, and then also to identify the technology that would help to automate those processes. So last year, my production company had the opportunity to acquire the rights from Paramount to the Atari movie, which is essentially the story of a man named Nolan Bushnell. He invented video games, was the founder of Atari, and he's a man who many people consider to be the godfather of the digital age. So he was incubating Steve Jobs and Wozniak in the personal computer inside of the Atari factory before Apple was created. He actually had a team of engineers working on a system where video game players could actually play games over the high-speed telephone lines at the time. and which would have been the first commercial version of the internet. This was the mid-'70s. Well, he sold a majority interest of his company to Warner Brothers, and they came in and killed the program. So I always like to joke now when I'm in Warner Brothers meeting with the executives that, you know, you guys passed on the internet, right? And they obviously don't think that's funny. But we have a great production partner on the project. We're producing the project with Leonardo DiCaprio and his production company, Appian Way. And you know, Leo is kind of the gold standard in the business in terms of the projects that he picks, so we're really fortunate in that regard. In figuring out how we were going to finance the movie, I came back to what did we do with Sirius that was special? Why were we able to do something that studios were still trying to figure out, which was not only finance the film ourselves, but to more importantly distribute it direct to consumers and actually track every sale in real time, and really actually we did it with zero marketing budget. So I went and met with Stacey Schneider, who's the chairman of 21st Century Fox, and she was, you know, shared the story with me. She's like, I passed on Assassin's Creed. You know, I don't believe gamers will come to the theaters, but in this case, she felt that we had a project that would actually uniquely compel the gamers to show up, and so she kind of affirmed an assumption that I had, which was, you know, getting the 2.7 billion gamers around the world, or at least a fraction of them, invested in the project, give them a stake in it, give them the opportunity to participate, democratize a major motion picture, well, it was a perfect fit. So we set out and we looked at traditional equity crowdfunding and obviously realized that there wasn't the dynamic qualities that we were looking for. And so right around that time, I was having dinner with a friend. This is a little over a year ago. And he said, have you thought about using an ICO to finance the film? And I said, well, what is an ICO? And I looked on my phone, and it was the day that the CEO of Mozilla had raised $30 million in 30 seconds. And I was like, oh man, this is basically like crowdfunding on steroids. So that took me down the rabbit hole of, you know, being committed to getting involved in the space. So once I was there, I realized, okay, the security token, it was a little early at that time. Now we're in a good position with the security token that we're doing around the film. We also realized that we needed that technology platform to actually power the marketing around the film and the engagement. So we actually set out to also develop a utility token, which we created.
Will be able to use their coin to buy a Bushnell security token.
So we created a utility token and a security token, the security token being tied to the profits of the Atari movie. The important part being, with the creation of both, that we actually have the ability to give investors a piece of the film and the profits from the film in an SEC or internationally compliant security token, and we have a digital platform that essentially automates that engagement. So it allows the Atari fans, gamers, to help with the promotion of the film, and with the utility tokens that they earn, also invest in a piece of the movie. And this is a platform that's built, that's actually launching in Q3, that multiple films, technology projects, causes will all be able to use this platform. And what's actually most exciting to me about being in this space was, as I got into this process and I went through it, I realized that this technology has the potential to power the next generation of innovation that's needed for humanity to make a left turn right now. Because we're at a critical juncture, and I'm sure you guys are aware, because you're in this room right now. And if you're in this room right now, that means you're on the cutting edge, you're in the vanguard of the movement to make change in this world. I've heard a lot of people speak about it today, but there's a lot of bright minds in this room, and I can see that we're all in agreement there. So we're in a critical moment. Our planet is basically facing a crisis of unparalleled proportions, but you know, we have war, we have destruction, we have environmental destruction, we have a planet that's literally falling apart around us. Yet at the same time, we have a human race that is poised and set and ready to rise up to meet those challenges. We have the technology. We have the human willpower. We're capable of creating whatever world we want to create. Like, this is that turning point. This is that moment where we decide what is the future that humanity wants to create for itself. That's what excites me about being in this space right now. I mean, the movie is cool and the utility token and all that's great, but at the core root of it, what I came back to was my intention is just to make as much of a positive impact in the world as I can. And what I see with cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is a technology that can actually power the solution revolution, a technology that can actually help humanity create the planet that is the highest potential of what we're capable of. I look around the room and I see every single human being. Each one of us has that divine spark inside of us. Each one of us has that dream that we're basically ready to share with the world, that we're ready to create. And when we co-create that dream together, that is when we create heaven on earth. That is when humanity actually reaches its fullest potential. And so that's what excites me the most about being on the stage today and being in this space. And I'm super grateful that you guys are here with me and that we're sharing this moment, and thank you for the time.